Alrighty, friends, we are back. It's your favorite podcast of the week. It's Location Weekly. It's episode number 690, and we are recording on October the 7th. Brianna, how are you?
I'm good. It's a kickoff to ad week here in New York, so just gearing up for a busy industry week. And I think it's going to be a good one. The other thing I was thinking about is that it's been a crazy week because, the aftermath of Hurricane Helene is still like settling in. From my hometown and area in the Carolinas has done lots of damage. So I just wanted to like think about that really quick and just pause and put thoughts and prayers for all of those people who are out there. And I know my parents in Greenville did not have power for like a full week and had several trees down. Thankfully, they are okay, but there's a lot of people who are without right now. So just thought I'd like put that feeling of humanity out at the beginning of the show. But I am doing good and I am just grateful that we have power and running water and a home that is not floating right now. So how about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well, and totally echo what you just said, and and was just hearing last night about this next hurricane that's coming to hit Florida,
Yeah.
on top of Helene. So, yeah, there's lots of things like that we need to be thinking and praying about. And also, it's October the 7th. It's 1 year anniversary of the beginning of this war in Israel and Gaza and all of that. So, which just seems to be getting worse and worse. So, thoughts and prayers over there too. So, yeah,
Any time in this world.
yeah, it's an interesting time.
We have
Um,
lighter topics today,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, baseball playoffs are on. The Dodgers lost last night. That's good.
Mm.
I don't know. Just yeah, lots of things. Whatever. Um, anyhow, we have a show for you, four stories. So let's jump right into it.
All right, let's start off with Giant Eagle, grocer out of kind of the, what would you say? Not really Midwest, Northeast kind of area. And they have been looking to really reduce wait times for shoppers who are, ordering on their app. So they announced just recently that they're expanding their partnership with a location platform called FlyBuy. They've been working with them since 2020, and they're really trying to bolster that last mile delivery and cut those wait times by at least half. So what they're doing is they have Flyby has an AI powered location technology, and this apparently is reducing wait times to less than 2.5 minutes on average, which is great, right? These two first started working together during COVID. Obviously, contactless curbside pickup was a big thing, and it was at an all-time high, obviously. And now I think that as we have gotten back to some sense of normalcy or regular day life, I feel like our lives are even busier than they were pre-COVID, right? Everybody's rushing, everybody's going. And so having that, extra like time shaved off of some type of a delivery, I think is really important. The other part of this is that, Giant Eagle's really trying to kind of struggle. They're struggling and they're really trying to win consumers' dollars, especially on the e-grocery business against big competitors like Walmart. Walmart is, let's see, apparently last month they were responsible for 37% of e-commerce grocery dollars. That's a huge chunk. And so really just trying to kind of say like, how can we compete? How can we maintain relevance? And how can we provide further services for our consumers? So I think this is obviously a great service to be continuing to invest in. And I think it's really important for the future of their business. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Flyby's been having some good wins lately. They're probably folks in our community know Radar, and Flyby is a sort of sister company or connected to Radar. Leveraging some of their core SDK technology. So, yeah, I mean, they're seeing good growth, and especially initially in the restaurant sector, and now you're seeing this kind of pushed into grocery and other retail categories. Um, yeah, I mean, I think if you're a Giant Eagle, and you're trying to compete with the Walmarts of the world, you need to find ways to, make people's lives easier and shorten those wait times and just take any kind of hindrance to shopping, out or make it super easy and customer friendly as you can, right? Because, Walmart's Walmart, they're the big behemoth out there and it's hard to compete with that. So I think that, I love what Flybuy is doing. I think, their technology, like I said, they're having lots of good success. I was chatting with a restaurant chain last week in the US in the pizza category. They were having some of the same challenges, around, just knowing where their drivers were and, sort of reducing those wait times and getting the most efficient routes. And yeah, it's a challenge for lots of folks. And you might think that, hey, well, this tech's been out there for a while now, like everybody should have this solved. But the reality is it's not there yet. And there's still many that are trying to figure it out. So I think a good partnership. Okay. On to our second story then. So I'm going to talk about a company called Billups, which is all one word, Billups. This is an out-of-home measurement or attribution technology company. Um, they made an announcement this past week about their new platform. And Stephanie Gutnick, who's, somebody we've known for years as part of the out-of-home industry, is their chief strategy officer at Billups. And, they say that their goal is to try to get to a place where advertisers, have an apples to apples, media measurement comparison to other forms of media. Because out of home has been difficult to measure that way, right? Like, online we have lots of great tools to look at click-through rates and eyeballs and views and all these kinds of things, and how do you translate that to the out of home world? So this is something that they're trying to solve and try to get, in conjunction with the other, sort of measurement companies in the out of home space, which include Geopath and MRC. Um, but what they're doing is they're combining signals from a number of different things. So they say digital inputs and real world panels to estimate likelihood of audience both, that an audience both sees and pays attention to an ad. They have this kind of scoring system. So it's a 0 to 100 scoring system, with zero being neutral. Um, or like how much attention is somebody paying to that particular ad. Um, they factor in, like, the views of the billboard. Is it obstructed, somewhat unobstructed, easy for people to see, not to see. They have other, sort of factors that come into the scoring. So the size of the billboard, the viewing angle, how many other out of home displays are nearby, the average dwell time, using mobile data by foot or car passing by. They look at time of day, the seasons as well from a weather perspective. So they're blending a lot of different factors together to get this into something that gives it a score on their 0 to 100 system. And then they feed all the data into a machine learning model, and then they estimate sort of, the probable attention, that somebody would have to this particular ad on this particular out of home space. So it's a different kind of approach in blending all these different signals, I think, than just using, let's say, how many cars went by. Um, Still early, so they've been testing with a number of different clients. Cognitive tested the solution in an out-of-home brand awareness campaign. They saw a 650% boost in LinkedIn searches for Cognitive in a part of New York where they were testing this. So, early results are good. And like I said, they're just doing this on a client by client basis right now. And I think it's interesting. I think it's a different approach, a unique approach to blending these different signals together. And I think, as we talk about all the time, everybody just wants to be more measurable and have, a way to understand the effectiveness of their campaigns. So I applaud the effort, and I say, like, yeah, let's see more of these. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that everybody knows that measurement or methodology in terms of like deciding what it's going to be for out of home has been a long time challenge. And I think that this may not be the approach, but it is an approach. And I think that being able to just clearly, one, differentiate yourself in the space today, to be able to say exactly like what the methodology is and succinctly and just allow advertisers to understand that gives opportunities for buy-in. So I think that there's not a clear winner in how this is measured yet today, but I think there's the opportunity to be. So I like people just kind of taking bets and saying like, this is how we're going to do it and this is how it works. I think that it's a great first step.
All righty.
Back to delivery. I got the delivery stories today.
You did, but you didn't get any food stories, so
No food stories. I know. I'm okay with that though. Switch it up a little bit. So AMBEST, and I had to look this up a little bit because I am not a truck driver or a transporter, so I would not be using this type of a service very often. But AMBEST is, well, what AMBEST is it's a member-owned nationwide network of independent truck stops and service centers. So they were founded back in 1988. They are very different from these large corporate chains. Most of them are like family owned businesses. These owners are like hands on. They're actively working to try and, give really good service to their customers that are coming by. So they have come together and decided that they're going to create this new mobile app. They just unveiled it. It's really focused on enhancing professional drivers' experience, right? So you think of people who are driving long hours, probably hauling big loads, like what do they need? What kind of service can we provide to them best? So they previewed this back in August at the AMBEST annual meeting in San Antonio. And this has like different digital technologies really to streamline the journey. So there's some personalization aspects of it, there's some location aspects, and then just more information. So for example, one thing that they're doing with the location is that they can take one piece of content and they're creating it with localized alternatives. So those can be triggered and changed based on a user's proximity to specific states, locations, the amenities perhaps that are available. And those will be localized with dozens of different images. And then the content can be adjusted whether those locations have things like quick service restaurants, maybe it's like showers inside the truck stop or something like that. And then also just like being able to find what really matters. So rather than sorting through a list of, hundreds of amenities, drivers are able to filter for what they're looking for really quickly. Maybe it's parking or, spots that exist nearby certain locations. And then finally, these local controls. So AMBEST can really determine like the order in which amenities are displayed at each location. So they can say like, what do they think is most relevant for those professional drivers that are coming in? So I think this is really helpful. This is not an industry that I feel like a lot of people offer services on, but it's so necessary for our infrastructure and how we receive goods. And so supporting these drivers that are moving things all around, the US and North America and probably all of North America, is really important. So I think that this is a great offering, being able to just help them quickly and efficiently find what they're looking for. And it's probably really important that like, is there a restaurant here? Is there a place that I can have paid parking overnight, or can I take a shower? Things that really matter. But yeah, so I like that they've come together like mom and pop, this isn't like a big, huge conglomerate, but it is a large grouping. And I think that this is maintaining relevance for an older company. What do you think?
yeah, I think it's super interesting. Like you, I wasn't aware of Ambest, but they're huge. I mean, like 500 member locations, obviously thousands of drivers. I love that it's a family owned. Like most of these truck stops are family owned or businesses or member owned businesses. So that aspect of it, I think is fascinating to me because they've been able to take something, obviously, identify a need, build a rewards program on top of that. And I guess in some ways, kind of like the FlyBuy story, like they're not, trying to reinvent the wheel. They went out and partnered with, this company, Rover Town, to kind of work on this, and kind of put this app together. So, um, I think that's interesting too. Like that, like they didn't sit there and go, "Oh, we're gonna go build our own app," from scratch, like a lot of big tech companies, or big corporations would do. Have their own in-house team. They basically said, "Look, like this is something we know we need. This is something that can make the lives of our drivers and our owners better, let's go find, the best in class technology out there to do this. And there's a lot of functionality in what this app can do, from the rewards piece to, the itemized, what's available and what else is around, and, push messaging, both local and state level, and all these different things that they've rolled in here. I really like it. I think it's well put together. I would, not that I'm going to go become a truck driver tomorrow, but if I was, I'd be like, yeah, let's sign me up. Um, and I like that I was reading their rewards program, like the gamification components. They created this game in there as well, where it's like a racing game, with a semi truck. And you can earn like AMBUcks cash and, for winning the game and things like that. So I like that there's some elements there of entertainment as well as, functionality. So super
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, our final story now. So not talking about delivery, talking about indoor location. There's a company called InnerSpace. That's one word. And it happens to be a Toronto-based company right here where I am. And they've been granted a patent from the USPTO on their what they call predictive hyperbolic location fingerprinting. Essentially, what these guys have is world-class, very unique capability to take Wi-Fi signals within a space and give you accurate insights on, what's happening inside of your buildings and inside of your space. They focus primarily on workplaces and workplace optimization. You can imagine, coming out of things like COVID, where a lot of workplaces were not well utilized because people were working from home, and then trying to bring people back. Um, Figuring out the best use for space, is something, I think quite important. But really, this is about, even in spaces as small as 100 square feet, they can figure out, very accurately, very reliably, how to best optimize and utilize that space, from the Wi-Fi signals. We have some experience with these guys. So in my startup world at ground level, we just partnered with them for the Olympics in Paris. We were working with the Canadian Olympic Committee and doing some work on Canada House, which is, sort of the home of Canadians overseas. So we had taken over the Science Center in Paris, and that became Canada House for the Olympics. And that entire building, we were monitoring activity within it with all the different activations from the different sponsors and brands. And, they had a sort of a theater in there broadcasting, what was happening, and all of that kind of stuff. And so we were using InnerSpace in partnership with our stuff there to kind of look at traffic and movement within the building, and how many people were in each area, how long they were spending in each area, and those kinds of things. But it's a very unique technology in the sense that for a lot of indoor positioning, you need hardware, you need, Bluetooth sensors or other equipment inside of a building. This is completely 100% no hardware, just taking the Wi-Fi that's already there and running, very sophisticated, algorithms and machine learning calculations on top of that, to get to these measurements and traffic flow patterns and these kinds of things. So, congrats to the guys at InnerSpace, I think, on, getting this patent. But I see a lot of use cases for this type of technology, especially if you can be hardware free. Any
Yeah.
thoughts?
I just think that I'm thinking back to, the many years we've been doing this podcast, and I'm like, man, indoor location tech has come a long way. We have really progressed. I mean, it used to be like bulky installations, long tail like services, and to get up and running. And it just seems like we are making advancements in this industry. Every podcast we do, it's like there's something new that we're talking about here. So I think it's just really encouraging to see how fast we're moving and how much better we're getting at doing this, and all the unique ways that people have come up with to improve this area. So I think it's exciting.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's always excitement on Location Weekly, um, mostly because Aubriana is here with me every week, and she brings the excitement. She brings the big
Oh,
smile and energy,
what do
and
you want?
I'm just the old guy. I'm just the old guy that's
Oh,
continuing to talk about location stuff. So anyhow, we appreciate it, and before we sign off for today, I just want to remind people we have our Retail Loco conference just around the corner, happening on October 22nd and 23rd. So just in a couple of weeks in Atlanta. We're doing that at Ponce City Market. So if you don't have a ticket yet, please get one, or reach out to Aubriana or I, and we can help you with that. There's a lot of great speakers that are going to be down there. Tropical Smoothie is speaking, Kroger, Papa John's, all kinds of great brands, Macy's, so I think it's going to be a really great show, and I would encourage you all to be down there and come check us out. And yeah, so with that, thank you everybody for listening, for watching. We appreciate your time. If you have story ideas, reach out to us. We would love to include that in our next show, or upcoming shows. And until then, we'll see you next week for another one. So have a great one, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.